I think there are a lot of small businesses that are scared to hire women, scared to hire protective classes because of government authoritarian overreach, in my opinion.
This world needs love. We need to teach people that it's okay to tell somebody, hey, you're doing amazing. I think you're intelligent. Man, you're such a powerhouse. Those words change lives.
The benefits of women in your business. Can I dive into you for that?
Absolutely, yes. I truly believe also.
Welcome back to Problems to Profit. I'm excited for our guest today. We have a friend that I have known for, more than 10, maybe on its way to 15, 20 years.
15 years, yes.
I will tell you, when I met her, she was maybe the biggest bitch I had ever met. Okay? She was tough. She was toxic. She was trying to master this thing called divorce or maybe neutering men. And it's funny because now I have her over at the house for every party that we could invite her to. She's leading groups of women, tens of thousands of women around town follow her. She's putting on events. She has the most compelling relationship with her husband. She's a millionaire, a phenomenal entrepreneur, a successful leader, speaker, teacher, just a gem of a woman. And I asked her to come because I want her to come and talk about women in business, specifically women in business. I mean, all of us men like to think we know shit about that, but I'm not going to pretend to know anything compared to her. But before we get started and dive into women in business, I'd love to go from bitch to badass. How did Victoria Isais go from the woman I met who was ready to eat another human being as long as he was male to this impressive, incredible, successful, youthful, outside, I know how old you are.
Yes.
Can I tell him on camera?
Absolutely. Go ahead, because I'm very proud of that.
How old are you?
54 years young.
54 years old, and she looks better than almost every 30-year-old I've met. And she just has success in every way, shape, and form imaginable. How did you go from that girl I met to this incredible woman that you are now, who's leading women, helping people, and serving the community, and also making money?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you, Preston, for having me here. And it has been right around 15 years. Right now, you're talking about that toxic Victoria. And it just I got chills because you're right. I was that toxic Victoria. I was that one woman that all men hated. They dated me just because they wanted to know what was going on with that Victoria, because everybody talked about how I was a bitch. That anger, and everybody tells me, well, how do you go from this being that mean bitch to now being so calm, so composed? You and your husband have such a great relationship. It's the anger I had. I dealt with rejection and abandonment at such an early age. Imagine, Preston, you're 2 weeks old, a baby, a little girl that had heard her mother's voice. I'm in her tummy, I hear her voice all the time. And then 2 weeks after I'm born, she leaves me with my grandparents. I had never heard these people's voice. I didn't know who they were. Imagine a little girl, a baby. How tough can that be for a child? So growing up was I was such an angry child because I was dealing with abandonment and rejection issues, which I didn't know at first. I didn't know what I was dealing with. I thought I was just a mean little girl fighting with the neighbors, fighting with my aunt.
Were you self-aware that you were rougher around the edges than others?
Yes. Well, everybody told me I was. So
okay.
You're so mean. You're just stop being rude and you're so lazy. That's something I got. And stupid. Lazy and stupid. You're stupid. You're lazy. You're lazy. So that would make me angry. And I would be like, I'm not lazy. I'm not stupid. And I would just get so angry. I couldn't control my temper anymore. But then, what 9, 10-year-old can control their temper after the person that supposedly loves you very much, grandparents and aunt, keeps calling you stupid and a whore. I'm 10, 11 years old. You're a whore. You're stupid. You're an idiot. Ooh. How could I not be angry?
You know, I love where this is starting, and I really appreciate the vulnerability. I mean, talk about starting with abandonment, starting with loss. I mean, loss of the first person, the person that created you.
Yes.
And going into really a toxic environment where, for whatever reason, you're being challenged instead of nurtured. And on the other side of that, this true success story. You know, all that soil that we could call it shit. Mm-hmm. That you need to take a seed, shove a flower in that pile of shit, and you grow that flower later. That it's funny, you know, nobody thinks when they're sniffing a flower that they're sitting 6 inches above a pile of shit to sniff a flower. When did that turn? What was the catalyst? Like, how old were you? I mean, there's a lot of women out there that deal with abandonment issues.
Right.
I do think parenting has been something that, I mean, at least since, you know, pre-World War II, men and women did not both go to work.
Right.
World War II, the men went to war, the women had to go to work if we wanted our factories to produce bullets and tanks and everything else. And if you go read your history, they never went back home. They never decided, oh, barefoot and pregnant's the way for me. They entered the workforce. They doubled the labor force. They dynamically changed the way American production, manufacturing, leadership, management, employment, corporate structures, valuation of employment. I mean, all sorts of things changed at that time. But one of the big things is parenting. And based on your age at 54, like, you're kind of right in this generation that maybe you were the first generation that didn't really have parents because parents had work. Because
they were working. Absolutely.
And I mean, there might have even been more to it than that, but I don't think, and I love this, that some of the things you're feeling are unique to you. I think at varying degrees, this is probably a common theme in all people, but especially in women.
Yes.
When did this turn? When did this shift into something where, a negative started turning into a positive? Shit turned to soil.
Yeah. So I decided, at 15 that I didn't want to live at my aunt's and my grandparents anymore. So here I am thinking, what do I need to do to get out of this house? I mean, I'm 14. I'll be 15 in a few months. How am I going to figure out, how do I get out of this house? I mean, I couldn't really get a job. What was I going to do? So Victoria's like, let me get pregnant. So I literally picked the man that was going to impregnate me. The guy has a good job. He owns a vehicle and he's incredibly smart and hardworking. That's the guy. And I went after him, Preston. It is so embarrassing now to say, but I want, especially the young women, to understand that we think we're doing something for the good of our life. And at the end, it just doesn't work out that way. I pursued him and he kept saying, no, you're too young. Hey, I mean, he's 7 years older than me. He was 22, I believe, 22 going on 23. And he kept saying, no, but I was persistent. And I got pregnant and then they made us get married and we got a little apartment and I thought I was living life. Imagine this. Here I am now. Now my grandparents aren't telling me what to do, or my aunt. Now I have a husband telling me I have to get up and cook and clean and all that. So that didn't last very long. I think we were together for 2 years and I went back home, ironically. Isn't that crazy? I went back home. Then I married again.
How old were you in the second marriage?
19.
Oh, so you're through marriage 1 and on to marriage 2 by 19 years old. Okay.
Yes. And then I went to marriage 3, marriage 4, marriage 5. And then get this. This is when you just asked me, when did I learn? I started thinking, okay, yes, the guy was a jerk. Yes, he cheated. Okay. The other guy was a jerk too. And yes, he got home at 4 a.m. on weekends. This other guy did this to me and this other guy and all these guys that I dated and the ones that I married. I'm thinking, there's one common denominator here. They're is all one person. Right?
They're all male? Was that it?
It was Victoria. Come on. I was like, okay, They cannot all be wrong. Not my cousins are telling me I'm always in a bad mood. You're so rude to my aunt. You're always upset. People I worked with, they could tell that I was angry. Like I would go to a club and pick a fight with people just to fight, because I had so much anger. So I decided, okay, Victoria, and I was probably already in my late 30s where I said, something has to change. And the self-development, started. I started with books. I started reading, just trying to learn who I truly was. What does Victoria really want in life? Does she want to be married or does she want to be single? And I started just diving into all these books, just trying to learn, what does Victoria want? What does she need in life? And learning little by little that I needed to heal my inner child, that little Victoria that nobody said, I love you, I need you, you're my perfect baby girl. When you're little and they grab your little hands and your toes and you're so perfect, my baby girl. Or when you're older, 6, 7, 8 years old, what do little girls need? And I mean both little boys and little girls, but obviously I relate to little girls because I'm a girl. They just want that love. They want acceptance, not just from parents, grandparents, friends. They want to be, look at me, guys, look at me. Well, that little girl turns into a woman and she still behaves like that little girl. Look at me, somebody please pay attention to me. So a guy walks in and says, I love you. So this was Victoria. A guy good-looking guy says, I love you, man. I couldn't take my clothes off fast enough. Oh my God, I'm going to trap him. Oh, I know. Women are like, I would never do that. Yes, you would. Because we do that all the time. We think we're going to trap them by either having a baby or by sex. If I give him sex and it's going to be so freaking good, he won't go anywhere else. He'll go somewhere else. But the way we think, because we're so needy, I just need the love. I don't care where it comes from. I just need the love of a man to hold me and hug me and say, I love you. Because I was dealing with no mother's love, no father's love. So I was looking for love in all the wrong places.
So your late 30s, you've gone through this crazy spiral of failed relationships. When did relationships start working? Did they start working more with men? Did they start working more with work? Did they start working more maybe at church or in some other way? Like where did relationships, because it sounds like none of the relationships were a solid foundation. And I do think that, I believe love is the meaning of life. And I think you're saying something similar. But love requires, at least if there's, obviously you can love yourself, but it requires relationship.
Right.
And if you want to have love with more than just yourself, you have to know somebody else and really have that foundational person. Who was the first foundational person where you got somebody that just genuinely cared?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. And I'm going to have to say Beth. Her name is Beth. Beth, I don't even know where this woman is at, but I remember working for a company and she always told me how beautiful I was. I was a receptionist and I was already older also, but she would walk in with a smile on her face. She was an older lady and she would say, you're such a beautiful little girl. Just her saying little girl, I'm like, well, I'm not a little girl, but I loved when she said it. And she started making me feel like I am beautiful. Wow. So it was Beth. And then I have another friend that she's still alive. I love her to death. But we don't have a really good relationship anymore due to, business. We used to have a business together. And she believed in me so much. I became a loan officer. No college education, Preston. I dropped out of high school. I got my GED. This woman comes to me and says... You had a master's degree in divorce and relationships. Yes, and those are the best ones too.
You're educated.
I am fully educated. So this woman believed in me so much. She says, we're going to open up a mortgage company. And I'm like, what's a mortgage company? I had no idea. Well, when somebody wants to buy a house, they need a loan and you're gonna be the one taking the loan application. And I'm like, oh, okay. if it wasn't for her, I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't even be in real estate because she's the one that opened my eyes to that business world. I remember she had her job, but I was like her part-time loan officer. Back then, you didn't have to have a license. And then home equities came in and now you had to get licensed. But she just believed in me. The first paycheck I got after my first 3 loans that I closed, I made $7,000 in 1 month.
For context, around what year?
I'm talking about 25 years ago.
That's a lot of money back
yes.
then. Yeah.
Tori, I have a daughter. She's 26. And this was, about 24, 25 years ago.
Wow.
7,000. I was like, oh my gosh. So she kind of opened the door to the loan officer industry, to the mortgage industry, and then real estate. And I started thinking bigger. I started watching everything she did, the way she walked, the way she sat, how she spoke to the men in the business or even the women. And I was learning from her.
I'm loving your story, and I've known you 15 years. I don't know if I've gotten your story in this level of detail, even though we've sat in the hot tub and joked around husbands and wives and hanging out and shooting the shit, drinking a beer, right? But I love this story so much because, I mean, if you're hearing the middle of the story, it would be so easy for most women who've probably had similar pains in different ways, but less of it, to judge you. You know, it's easy to judge somebody that's been through more shit than you, especially if they've fucked up more than you. And I think you get like a college degree or 2 or 3 in the fuck ups.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Then one thing I love, and you know, anybody that meets you, like, you know, I saw you speak at an event yesterday, and the way that you were introduced was, oh my God, I'm so excited that I don't have to pay for a ticket to hear her speak. Like, your reputation with people around town and with women in the industry that probably don't know this side of you, all of them.
Right.
Is this queen among women. And so I just wanted to impart a compliment. I love your vulnerability. I love your transparency. I love your integrity for sharing it. I know where it's coming from. But just thank you, because it's so cool to sit through it and think, holy shit, would I judge what I'm hearing if I didn't know the person I was sitting next to? And I guarantee you, listeners who skipped the intro of who you are today are like, wait, what the fuck? Why is he interviewing this girl? Where are they going with this? What's next?
Yes. And you know, I'm getting teary-eyed because I just have so much joy in my heart that you're saying that, because my husband tells me all the time, and I feel it with the women. You know, when I'm transparent with them, I feel like, and sometimes it's even borderline uncomfortable, because I'm like, why do they... It's weird to me that they're like, oh my God, thank you, Victoria. You changed my life with your story. The countless messages that I get, even when I do a 30-second story on Facebook or on Instagram, and I'm like, hey, this is what happened. Or, man, girls, I couldn't stand my husband today. He left the seat up again, and he just really pissed me off. But you know what? I had to take a breath and kind of just be like, this is something I'm dealing with, and it has nothing to do with him. So I had to figure out what's going on with me. So I get these messages. That happened to me the other day, Victoria. And when I heard you say you took a step back, I had to stop judging my husband and saying, hey, this is on me, not on him. So all the little things, when you're honest and transparent when you're on social media, and you know, because everybody wants that perfect life. We don't have the perfect life. But it brings joy to my heart and tears to my eyes, because these women are so grateful, Preston. I mean, grateful. They're like, thank you. Ever since I started calling myself beautiful in front of a mirror, I just feel like I am beautiful, Victoria. And it's because I heard one of your stories. And it just brings so much joy to my heart.
And the anger's not gone. It just switched to passion.
Yes, it's not gone. It's not gone yet.
You might be one of the most passionate people I know, which, I mean, I think is just angry people when they get happy are the loudest, most joyful, passionate people.
Yes.
And it's funny because passionate people, when they get angry, you're like, I gotta fucking hide. It's the same, 6 is one, half a dozen is the other, right? So, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on this podcast is I've had a tremendous amount of success working with women. Like my CEO and COO of my company is female. All of my directors of operations are female. You know, I am not in any way prejudiced towards or against women or men, but I have had tremendous success working with women. And I think, you know, talking to a lot of different entrepreneurs, hiring women is some of the scariest things, at least that male entrepreneurs talk about. I mean, I would like to kind of dive into how can we explain and maybe help entrepreneurs out there understand the benefits of working with women. Because, I mean, a lot of times you look at, you know, if I hire a woman, oh shit, I don't, I mean, just by the numbers, I don't know that I've ever had a man say, I feel sexually harassed.
Right.
At any of my companies. Like, I don't think it's happened. I think they're all waiting for it. They're like, me next. Okay. But it's not an uncommon thing for a woman to say, oh, I'm uncomfortable, or I feel I don't like the way he's talking to me, whether he intended anything negative or not. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, and so women have kind of this whole Me Too movement. Like some men are like, we need a We Too movement. Like, it's gone too fucking far. Like, but at the same time, like, there is a place for it. Like, but some of the risks that are implied in just kind of the way that regulation and government and legal posturing and politics have come in and made it high risk to work with women shadow over the talents and amazing gifts that they bring to the office. And obviously you can't run the same type of ship that you would run if you only had a bunch of dudes. Right. Like, if you're looking for the sausage fest business, that's fine. But if you're looking for like a well-balanced business with the masculine and the feminine benefits that we've talked about a lot off camera, what are some of those benefits that a woman is going to bring to the table, whether in leadership, whether in like just the team, like dive into that a little, if you would.
So there's two things, because I'm in the fence with both of these. I think it's really sad for men that they can't be themselves in front of some women, for example, okay? Or we use the card. Ooh, this is going to piss off a lot of women too. Oh, we use the sex card as women. He was rude to me, or I can't believe he did that to me. We provoke a lot of the things. There's a friend of mine. She went, okay, this guy almost got fired because of her. She went to a bar with him, had drinks with him. The guy's married, and she had a boyfriend. I told her, I said, hey, well, your guy's going to be upset because this guy, you know how he's kind of like, no, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. She ended up at his hotel room, upstairs in his hotel room. And then she called another guy, another boss, and said, you know what? He's sexually harassing me. I need you to come pick me up. So she played that card. She started saying this guy was sexually harassing her. And I'm not saying that didn't happen. What I'm saying is, what were you doing in his hotel room? Does that make sense? So we as women, a lot of us, we use that card. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. But yet you're provoking it. It's kind of like the girl that is walking in front of everybody, shaking her, you know, all her goodies. And she's like, what is he looking at me for? I can't believe, what a pig. Why is he looking at my body? Well, I mean, you're kind of showing it, you know, all over. So that bothers me that us as women, we use that card to get out of things that maybe we started in the beginning, like the little flirting. And then when we don't like it, we kind of go back and say, oh my gosh, he's sexually harassing me. I don't know what I did. I've seen it happen over and over and over, and men get fired because of this. That, I think, is an injustice. I don't think that's fair, but it works also, you know, because there's times where I have been with a bunch of guys and they're there talking about things that maybe they shouldn't be talking, you know, their penis. I don't care how big it is. None of my business. If I didn't ask you, then why are you telling everybody? Does that make sense? So it just depends on that one person, you know. Women, I think, of course, we're an asset. Why? Because we're nurturers.
Well, hold on. I want to get into that because there is, I'm living proof. You know, we're doing now hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue every year with a company realistically run by women. Like, I mean, I have some C-suite executives that are men, but all my DOs and my CEO is like a woman. And there are benefits to both genders. So I'm not like advocating for or against either. Like you can have talent in both areas, but I want to jump onto what you were saying because it's so funny. Like we had an employee at one point in time, and I walked into the kitchen at our office and I poured some iced tea, and I was on the ketogenic diet, and we had ordered Chick-fil-A for all the staff, and they had regular tea and they had sweet tea, and I accidentally poured sweet tea. And this girl who was in there with me, when I tasted the tea, I was like, "Oh my God, that's sweet." And like I went to pour myself other tea, and she's like, "What? You don't like it? It tastes like me." And I like. I didn't know what the fuck to say. I was the owner of the company. She was the type that would kind of bounce around office to office, like always talking to the boys. And I'd never had a sexual harassment complaint at any of my companies. I'd never had an issue at any of my companies. You know, I went to my CEO, like my co-CEO, like, and I was like, "Hey, you know, this happened. Like, honestly, as a guy, I don't even know how to deal with this."
Right.
Like, I'm not going to say, like, I'm fucking uncomfortable.
Right.
And you know, it's funny, it wasn't me. Like, all the women that run my companies were like, "That's terrible." They started looking at her performance much more aggressively than they were looking before. And sure enough, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. She was spending her time flirting, not working. And so when they dug in, they found out she was a shit employee. So they started writing her up because this is the one that you don't want to get rid of as a female.
Right.
You can't have any prejudice. And they started finding that her work was shit. And so they wrote her up for work being shit. Well, sure enough, eventually we terminate her because her work is shit after several write-ups and following all this stuff. And we get an EEOC complaint. And I'd never dealt with the EEOC before, but it was fascinating. Fascinating that a government agency literally comes and investigates you.
Right.
Whether you've done anything wrong or not, whether there's any proof or not. Like there was, I mean, and this goes on for, 3 or 4 interviews with government agencies that are grilling you and asking you questions and trying to dig you. Then the government agency, if they have nothing, shells this information over to an attorney if the person has hired an attorney, and they just stack it on and they file some bogus bullshit lawsuit trying to get your insurance to settle. And if you don't have your documents right, like now at this point, we've never lost a case, thank God, but we've always done the right thing. Like I can imagine people would lose cases if they'd done wrong. But our employment documents are thicker than the Bible. Like you have to sign more documents than there are pages in the good book in order to work for us.
Good for you.
If you're male, female, gay, straight, black, white, red, yellow, blue, I don't give a shit, trans, whatever. Like, but we have to have it because you have to literally have so many documents that it's impossible to read because of the risks. Like when there's a government agency that wants to destroy small business and big business that is doing the investigation for the private sector attorney, like there are crazy risks to this. So now like that doesn't just trigger men. My staff is prejudice. My hiring staff is prejudice. I don't know if I should say this on air, but whatever. They are going to see if you are flirty.
Right.
They are looking at your fucking Facebook, male and female. Like it doesn't matter who you are. They want you to be hired to do the fucking job.
Right.
We have no problem with some water cooler time. We have no problem with culture development and like people having friends at work. Like that's all important. But if we assess any level of risk that your primary goal in the organization is relationships or sex or flirt or leverage around that stuff, it's an immediate prejudice where we remove, you from even consideration. We look for a candidate where we do not assess a risk because we don't want the fucking government coming after us. You're guilty till proven innocent. And
you're protecting your business.
And so the risks of working with, really women, but any protected class. Like I don't want to make this a woman thing.
Right.
Like are higher as a result of the government trying to protect people. They actually kind of make it a negative on protected classes in a way by making you guilty till proven innocent.
Right.
Which for the bad actors, I think is a positive. If you're a bad actor and you do this, you're fucked. But for the good actors, for the people that do run good business, where there isn't issues, you've given an enormous amount of power to people who are considered victim classes by the general we, the government or whatever. And that in and of itself, like puts businesses at risk if they hire them.
Yes.
So now, that being said, I think there are a lot of small businesses that are scared to hire women, scared to hire protective classes because of government authoritarian overreach, in my opinion. Not that I don't think it came from a good place. I think it started in a good place. But I think they're scared to. And the goal of this podcast is to make sure people are not.
Right.
I mean, I've made millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars at this point, because I've leveraged the benefits of working with women. So now I want to dump, like just data dump, the benefits of women in your business. Can I dive into you for that?
Absolutely. Yes. I truly believe also, and my husband tells me this all the time, when I go to work, when I go to the office, I go to work. If I have 3 hours, I will sit there and do 3 hours of work because I want to go back home to my family. You know, I want to go see my husband. I'm not about wasting time. And I think that you come to an age and you also, especially if you're a woman, because what you're doing is you're thinking, I got to take my kids to the dentist. I have to clean the house. I have to do this. So you are hyper focused on what you got to do at the time. It happens to me in my home. You know, I don't know about the other women.
Weren't.
Oh, no.
You weren't before. And one thing I want to say, this will be controversial as hell, but I've noticed this just by the numbers working with women. The best female employees that I have quality relationships. Like at home, with their family, at their church, at their synagogue or mosque, whatever. But they have quality relationships. They have friends.
Yes.
They have family. I cannot tell you how many times I've had an amazing employee that had quality relationships, something goes wrong, they start a divorce, and it's a different human being.
Yes.
More so with women than men. In my own measurement, in my own business, I need to say that for all the people that get fucking triggered watching the truth. But, if I have, and for sure I have, if I've had 10 men get divorced, the work ethic will be impacted, but it's slight. If I have 10 women and I just take the same random selected group of 10 and 10 out of however many I've had, 80%, maybe 90% of the women will be dynamically affected by the shifts in family. So while you go to work, you have healthy relationships.
Yes.
But when you're at work working, one thing I notice about you, and I'd love to dive into this, your communication style is different. Your culture is different. You bring that family nature to the office. Even if you're at work to work for the money, you're still treating people like family, but you're not doing it maybe intentionally. You're doing
and hugging on them and loving on them. Yes.
You're like mom.
Yes.
You're like mom or abuelita at the office. Like you take care of everyone.
Yes.
Let's dive into that culture, that motherly culture that I will hypothesize is embodied in the woman. Like you guys create life, you create emotion, you create experience. Why and how, if a woman is healthy, can she bring a level of culture that businesses without that wouldn't even understand?
For me, I think it was just growing from everything that I went through and actually deciding this happened for me, not to me. And that victim mentality, why did my mom leave me? This is what I used to do before. As soon as I talked about my mom, my dad leaving me, abandoning me, and rejecting me, and oh my God, and my whole body would change. I remember when my mom left me. Oh, she was so mean. Why would she leave me? But when you start changing that story and saying, you know what? My mom didn't abandon me. She loved me so much. She freaking loved me so much. She decided that I needed to have a better life, better than my other brothers, because I have, half brothers, half sisters. That's how much she loved me. So in my mind, I had to switch that. I'm like the actress of my movie. I have to act as if I wasn't an abandoned child anymore, So that Victoria came from the growing. Because now when you love yourself, Preston, that's how I'm able to love the Gemmas and the Auroras and the Ericas of the world.
I want to ask you a specific question because I'm loving the journey and we keep coming back to the journey that you had and it's perfect. I know the answer to this, but I want to hear it from you. Because I think a lot of women need to hear this. Mm-hmm. I mean, men too. But the men who are going to be doing the hiring, the women that are going to be doing the hiring, the men and women that need the healing, all of them need to hear this. As a woman with quality relationships that's gone through the turnaround, that's gone from hellfire to heaven itself on earth, what do you bring to a company? Since you've had that healing, what are the values that you provide to an organization? Outside of the money you bring, because you do your job well.
Yes.
But what do you bring?
Me personally, I think that I bring the peace. I bring the joy. I want people to feel like they're in a community. I want them to be able to go to Victoria and say, I'm not feeling good today. And I want to be able to give them a hug and say, what's going on with you? I want them to know that just because they don't have their mother and father or their cousins and brothers, they still have other people out there that will care for them and genuinely care for them. Not because you're doing something for me. I care for you because you're a human being. I care for you because we're all connected at one point in life. Because that caring and loving for somebody, that's what has changed me to be this Victoria. When I look at you, Preston, now, because when I first met you, I couldn't stand you, man. I was like this dude, because here's a hurt Victoria, hurt Preston, and now because this dude's not going to tell me what to do, the egos, and I just couldn't. I'm like, I can't stand this guy. You never did anything to me. Everything was great. I just could not stand you. I just thought you were this arrogant jerk that I couldn't stand, And now when I look at you, I just look at you with love. You are such an amazing, beautiful soul. You genuinely love people. And you actually taught me how to genuinely love people and how to be okay with holding another man's hand in a cuddle puddle or hugging on another man or a woman. Because me, when I gave somebody a hug, I was like, okay, great. And now it's heart to heart. I want them to feel the love. You know how many people out there don't feel love? They didn't feel love from their parents, from their grandparents, from their community. This world needs love. We need to teach people that it's okay to tell somebody, hey, you're doing amazing. I think you're intelligent. Man, you're such a powerhouse. Those words change lives.
This is fun. I love how articulate you are. I'm listening, and I like to make things short and concise because, I value efficiency.
Yes.
I always joke that my wife, she's very inefficient. It took her 9 months to have a baby. It only took me 3 minutes. Men are much more efficient than women. But what I'm hearing you say that you bring to the office, outside of you do your job well, you do real estate, and you produce amazing. You're like best in the city every year. And you bring family. Like for so many people that don't have the perfect home, that don't have the perfect marriage, that don't have the person to say, I love you, you bring what that lady Beth brought you.
Yes.
And you bring people the feeling of having a community, a tribe, and a family.
Yes.
And I think you're uniquely good at it, but I don't, this is a man, mansplaining something maybe, as I use that bullshit Democrat term. my perception is that's a very common theme that I see from the feminine. Mm-hmm. You all bring safety to a workplace. I mean, a workplace by nature, it's a productive machine. Like it's a very masculine machine. It's like, we got to get this shit done. We got to fucking do it now. Like everybody's on a deadline. And there's a value to that. If you didn't have that type of energy, you'd get nothing done.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If there wasn't that masculine hunt and that conquest and that need to grow, like capitalism wouldn't work. And apparently it's the best system on earth. So you have to have some of the masculine. But when you balance it with that familial feminine, as I've seen in my own companies, and you add that safety, you get this holistic polarity where you don't lose the benefits of the chase, of the hustle.
Right.
But you gain the safety as well. And let me explain it this way. In a world where the number one thing I would argue that people value on the planet is safety. Don't believe me? How many people wore a fucking mask?
Right.
When the mask mandate ended? Mm-hmm. Okay? Like, how many people value safety so much that they alienated their family?
Right.
Safety is one of the most incredible and dominant values of our time that I think we're in the process as a society of trying to figure out and explain. And I truly believe that women in the workplace bring it. I think they bring a familial safety. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Right. Well, I mean, for me, safety, it just depends what safety is for everybody. But for me, safety is like when I'm taking care of my grandkids. How do my grandkids feel safe? Is by me hugging on them, telling them I love them. And I know in a workplace that could be a little kind of like, oh, okay, like, do I tell everybody? What's wrong with telling somebody you love them? So the girl that I gave a hug to yesterday at the training, and when I went to her ear and I was like, I love you. And she was like, okay, she couldn't say it, because she didn't feel it. I don't know if she felt it or not, but she felt uncomfortable. How am I going to tell her I love her? Like, that's weird. That was me before. And now I'm making that so open to everybody. I love you. They're like, oh, yeah, thank you. And I'm like, it's okay. She's just not ready to say I love you, because I genuinely do love you. I love people. And when you bring that to the workforce and you actually get the women and men to work together, because you're right. You need that hustle. And I mean, you walk into the office, everybody's like, oh my God, here comes Preston. What's going on? Does that make sense? Because you're that powerhouse. But they also need the Victorias of the world to walk in and make it feel safe by the love and encouragement and affirmations. When you encourage somebody and tell them how great they are, how beautiful, how intelligent they are, what happens to their demeanor? They go from wait a minute, I am intelligent.
What about? I love that. I mean, could it be almost like mom and dad?
Yeah.
Like, it's funny because I believe respect is like this mated version of love and fear. It's like where love and fear intersect and you get respect. Right. I think my wife generates love from my children. And my kids know I love them, but they also know don't fuck with dad.
Right.
And it's interesting because there is a dynamic like that. I mean, it's not like a parent dynamic, like I'm nobody's daddy at work. But I'm the guy that'll walk in and be like, hey, you know what? I don't like that. I think that shit work.
Right.
And I won't, in all circumstances, make the time to massage the person's emotions that they might need. Right. But then there's a Valerie, there's a Viviana, there's a you, there's a Sherry. Like, they'll come in and they'll be like, look, here's what he means.
Yes.
What he's looking for. Here's what he asked for. He communicated clearly. Maybe you didn't interpret it this way. Maybe you interpreted it another way, but let's work on this. And no, he likes you. Like, he wouldn't have done this, and this in the past if he didn't like. But they make sure that they're a little more inefficient with their communication.
Yes.
Whereas I'm just like, get this shit done.
Right.
But at the same time, nobody goes to them if they're having issues that they need immediate results with. They go to me.
Yes.
Like, I'm the guy that saves the fucking day if they have a huge problem. But I'm also the guy that it's like a mom-dad situation at work.
Yes.
I think that paradigm does advance.
It does. And it is like mom and dad. We talk about this all the time. Like, they're afraid of dad. So as soon as dad, my grandkids, my daughter tells them, stop doing that. And they don't care. They're like, yeah, doing whatever. As soon as my son-in-law, boy, I said, stop. They both are like, okay, stop.
I'm going to ask you to do something for me.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you to mitigate risk. Oh, this will be clickbait. Oof. I don't know if you're going to want to do this. Let's see if you'll go clickbait with me. Because you've been the tóxica.
Yes.
In Spanish, that means toxic, guys. And you've also been the brilliant team lead, the brilliant team member. You've been on both sides of the toxic value equation. What should a boss look for? Because we just talked for like many, minutes on the value that women bring. They bring culture, frankly. Right. Like if you want a culture and you're going to do it without women, good luck. Go create a monastery for monks. Like I don't know how that works. You need the women for culture, but like how do we assess good women in business versus bad women in business? You being the previous Toxica, if I'm a boss, male or female, what are the signs I should look for to eliminate that toxic girl that's going to be a threat, that's going to be a risk, that's going to be a problem?
Well,
are you willing to go there?
Let's start with the way they dress. I mean, number one, if the girl walks in and you're in a business, you're a real estate agent and you're showing all your goodies and you're walking some kind of way, I mean, come on. And there's another thing that you said is check their social media. I mean, if you're on social media and if you're okay with, twerking at 35 years old and you have 3 older children and your boys are watching you twerk on, you know what I mean? Like those are big signs that people are, and again, people are so afraid, bosses are so afraid to say anything because of getting, what if they sue me? Or another thing is a woman coming to her boss and talking about personal stuff about husbands and boyfriends. Me personally, I think that's a red flag. That's a woman. Remember, this is what I told my husband when I first met him. Check this out. Women are looking for husbands. They're looking for someone to financially take care of them. So if there's a woman that is, oh, my husband did this and I can't believe him. And you say, it's okay. You're going to be fine. You'll be great. This woman is already thinking marriage, kids. I'm going to take him from the wife, and because of the way we think. Let me ask a question
on that. I want to.
That's a toxic woman.
I want to ask a question. I mean, a friend of mine told me something, and it was kind of funny, but I'd like your opinion, and I don't think I've ever asked you this. He said, men and women are different. If a guy meets another guy, and that guy has like the perfect girl, he's gonna be like, "Hey, man, like, how did you get her? Like, what did you do?" Mm-hmm. Now, on the other side, like if a woman meets another woman that has the perfect guy, a lot of times, even if they're friends.
Oh, like, especially if they're friends.
She doesn't ask, how do I get a guy like him? She's like, how do I get him? Yes. How do I get that motherfucker? Yeah. Like, is that true?
Absolutely. Oh and this is going to piss off a lot of people, but I know this for a fact. I did that several times. Friends of friends of friends. I've seen it. I see it when it's happening. We start acting different. And I say we because we've all been there at least one time in our life, especially the women that want your husband. Those are the ones that are like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
I want to frame, like, we're not talking all women in general. We're talking women who are damaged and toxic women.
The toxic, because I was toxic, so I can talk about my toxicity back in the day, and this is what I did.
If we're dealing with that character type, these are the red flags. So far, you've said, look at the Facebook or the Instagram.
Yeah, any of their social media.
Is there somebody twerking and they have 3 grown children and their kids can see their Instagram? That's to me, that's an assessment of what are your values and what are you bringing to the office, right? Like values still matter in an organization. You want to hire people that's values align with you. The next one, you said hide their goodies. So they shouldn't bring cookies to work, right?
No.
So you're saying no tits and ass.
Come on, guys.
No tits and ass, no showing the belly.
Yes. It's a work environment. If you're in Vegas, you're hanging out with your friends, that's one thing. But you're at work and then you're like, it's because he's looking at me like with those eyes that he wants me. Well, girl, I'm looking at you with those eyes. I can see all your, goodies. Imagine talking to a client and you're showing everything. The husband is like, it's hard not to look. And then here we are with I can't believe he was looking at me. He's such a pig. He's a dog. Because he's a dog because he's looking at.
Well, and I'm gonna throw a statement here. Like my wife watches these episodes, and so I can say this. Men all look.
Yeah.
Like men are not gonna look if they're attracted to you necessarily. They're gonna look if you're attractive. And attractive doesn't necessarily even mean you're their type.
Right.
It means you're displaying something that they're interested in. Now that could be something as simple as all men like tits and ass if they're straight, right? Uh-huh. And if yours are hanging out, we're attracted to that. If you're showing more than everybody else is showing, we may not stare if we're healthy, but we're gonna be like, wait, what? Oh my God, did I really see that?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. And we may. It's like looking at flowers in a garden. We're gonna look. We're not gonna go pick the flowers. It's not our fucking garden. But it can also be a woman you're completely unattracted to, but she's in her full feminine and she's
of course.
flowy. And you'll look and you'll be like, what is it about her? And it's almost energetic at that point.
Yes, it is.
Even though there's no attraction.
Yes.
Is there a place for the feminine at work?
Yes, of course. Yeah. You can be such a beautiful, you can see the dress that I'm wearing, Preston. I'm not showing a lot and I feel super sexy. And I know it because there's 2 types, and this is for all women. You go out there, and I did this before. You show your boobs, you show your ass, you show everything. What kind of guy is going to be looking at? They're going to look, what kind of guy is it? The guy that just wants to take me to a hotel or wants to F me in his car probably. That's the kind of attention I'm going to get. Now, you walk in to a room with a long, beautiful dress, your hair made, just the way you talk, the way you act, the type of men that are going to look your way, completely different. They're not going to be the ones that are like, man, let's go to Motel 6, girl. Come on, let's.
Well, they care about what's up here, whether it's for a relationship or a business relationship. It may not be familial or sexual at all. It may be like, wow, that's a professional woman. I want to bring her onto my team. That'll improve productivity.
Yes.
So there, we've looked at 3 things to avoid. Okay, and I would add a 4th when they're always talking about sex.
That's weird, right?
I've walked in on a conversation where like 3 girls were having lunch. We bought the office lunch, and they all blushed, and I didn't even stay long enough because I knew they were talking about something. And I that's probably okay. Like I don't care because they were friends.
Yeah, and it's girls. It's a girl. Mm-hmm.
But like I'm talking about sex where it's you're there, they're there. Not something I want to think about when I'm like, I need to make a hard money loan. I need to build a home. I want to flip this house. I want to.
Well, that's how they're trying to get your attention visually by saying all these things about sex so you can picture them. They know what they're doing. We all know what we're doing, of course.
So those will be like the 4 things, like whether they're dressing to show or they're speaking to show.
Yes.
They're showing. Those are kind of the 4 things we should look for on what to avoid, whether in hiring or whether, sorry, ladies, sorry, guys, it's someone you need to get rid of.
Yes.
In your office. It will not bear fruit unless what you're looking for is lawsuits, EEOC claims, child support later if you take the fucking bait, right? But can we end this on a positive note and dive into what we should look for in a woman? Like, what are things as an employer, especially for like, I don't think that there's so much of a gender gap anymore, and maybe that's controversial too. There's more clickbait. There still is at the CEO level, but there used to be at all levels.
Right.
If you look at Wall Street right now, women occupying corporate boards is 49%. I mean, that arguably that's within a margin to be 50%. Right. Now, women at CEO levels is much lower. But if you look at the age of the Wall Street CEOs, 50s, 60s, 70s, like they're averaging in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And women at those ages, if they've had that success level all their life, I think prioritize differently and just generally, they could do it. They just don't fucking want to. They have other priorities. Like they don't want to be Jamie Dimon. They don't want to be the Jeff Bezos, the Bill Gates, Oprah is an exception. Mm-hmm. But, Bill had Melinda and she's as rich as Bill. Well, maybe richer.
Maybe even more.
Jeff Bezos got to give half away too. Like, so, right. I mean, even though all those billionaires, the men have all the wealth. Well, they're married. Their wives have that wealth too. Like, that's how that shit works. So
I love that you're saying that. Yes.
I don't think there is a gender gap as much as there used to be. I mean, there may be in certain industries, but I think some of that's by choice as well. And this is wildly politically incorrect. We'll get some haterade, but it'll be good for clickbait too. So please comment if you disagree. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Like I'm actually open to the discussion. But for men and women that are hiring that have had some of the issues, that have dealt with the Me Too shit. And the Me Too shit is, I mean, the crazy shit about any legal liability that is new and not fully litigated. When you have a movement that creates a situation where there's not previous litigation, so we all have case law, that generally takes 10 to 50 years to figure out how to operate it well. Right. Which we're not beyond that yet, mm-hmm. which is why you're still seeing shifts. But for the good entrepreneurs that have found a way to work with men and women very successfully, okay, in all roles without becoming crazy corporate, that still have a culture, because there are some that are just corporate and they don't care and you're a fucking, you check a box. Mm-hmm. But if you can manage it well, what should I look for? What should entrepreneurs look for in healthy women? How do I find a woman with healthy relationships that's going to be a value-add asset that may blow most men out of the water in the workforce?
Yes. Well, you have to look at their relationship at home also. That has a lot to do with that. So
how do I ask that question without getting in trouble?
Without getting in trouble.
How do I say, are you happily married? How do I say, do you have a fulfilling, compelling relationship? How do I ask somebody those questions that are fucking relevant, but are not something I can ask? Is that also Facebook and Instagram?
I think it is. Because I think that you can get a lot from their social media, definitely a lot. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. There's this one girl that I thought her and her husband had a great relationship. She went on Facebook. He cheated. She even put the video where he got caught cheating. And then 3 months later, she's off, the social media. She's back with her husband. You know what I mean? That's toxic. Because first of all, you shouldn't have put the video in the first place. Another thing, I think, in my opinion, is how you do one thing, you do everything. So for example, and I do this all the time, I teach my grandkids too, when you're walking and you see a woman, you see her walking and she starts picking up. When you have the meetings at the office and people start picking up and helping around, that's a good-hearted human being. She cares enough around the office, what it looks like. She's going to help you pick up. She's going to see that the bathroom, when she's walking to the restroom, there's toilet paper there. She's going to pick it up and throw it away. Those little things make a huge difference because that she is taking pride of her home where she works. She spends more time at work than in her home.
Let me throw some other benefits that I think of working with women that they're just for comparison. I think they're fascinating. If I go to with a group of healthy men to lunch, we all fight for the check. If I go with a group of women and I watch them and say I don't operate in my male nature where I just immediately go for the check, they're all like, oh yeah, we'll split the check and we'll this. They're better at capitalism.
Yes.
They're better at lowering their ego and making everything fair.
Yes.
I mean, something about being a shopper also makes you a better saver and a better spender. I love the women in my accounting department. They save more, they spend less, they have less ego. They're fascinating at the things they find. So I think the less ego And the understanding of capitalism, because women are better consumers than men,
Right. Mm-hmm.
is a huge benefit to women. I think the work ethic of women, outside of the cultural development, is when they're healthy, when their needs are met, is fascinating.
Well, you just said something important, when the needs are met, and not just in the workforce, but at home also.
Because you can't let your kid go without a diaper change, or they're going to get a rash, they're going to get sick, there's going to be doctor visits. I think they bring that same concern and need to the office.
Yes.
Like, they don't leave some of the little shit undone. And, I mean, women also, this is another huge benefit that I've noticed, and I'd love your context on this. They're more loyal. Because your bodies hold a baby for 9 months.
Right.
And our bodies hold sperm for, maybe 9 minutes if you're good at shit, right? Men are a little more, I got to chase the next biggest thing. I got to chase the next biggest thing. And women, once they find their tribe, they don't leave.
Yes, because we're nurturers by nature. I truly do believe that. We love to nurture, the people around us and make sure that they're okay. And I love what you're doing there at your companies, Preston. You are doing such an incredible job of bringing that community of the men and women together, because you're the type of boss, you don't want people it's not just about the money. It's about them growing. You're teaching us how to grow. You're showing us, and you're leading by example, which is something that most business owners, they don't care. They don't care about your personal life. They just want you to do what you got to do. Now get out and goodbye. I don't care if your husband cheated. I don't care if you're crying. I don't care if your kids are sick. I don't care what's going on in your personal life. And you're kind of taking the industry, not just, the builders and also the real estate industry, and teaching all these other people, all these other business owners, that it's okay to have that community. It's okay to care, because it's not just the women bringing it. It's also what you're doing for the women in the company.
I have a question. And this is, as a woman, I mean, I've thought about this as a man. What are your thoughts on multiple genders and pronouns and all of that? I mean, I'm going super controversial with you here, but I've never asked you. So more fun to do it on camera.
For me, it's like, if you're a man, you're a man. You're a woman, you're a woman. I don't understand why it doesn't make sense to me. Does that make sense to you? Like, why do I have to check why do you have to say, I don't want to say? I'm a woman. I have everything a woman has. Does that make sense? Like, why do I have to? It doesn't make sense to me to do 2 mommies, 2 daddies, and then the men that go and they're able to be in the Olympic sports, but they won because they're so, so muscular, and that freaking bothers me. Yes.
I've wondered about that, like, as a passionate woman, like, and I'm all for, like, if you're trans and you got pronouns, I don't like, whatever. Like, I don't, and I will never understand the they them shit. Like, I don't know how the fuck you got plural. Like, that's just weird. Okay. Like,
I think we're just a little old school too.
Yeah, we're probably too old school, but this is good clickbait and it's fun. Like, I don't get where you can go plural. Like, you can be whatever gender you want, but you're still going to be singular. You can't be a group. Okay. And if you can, I need to understand the fucking science behind that. But I've always wanted to ask you, and it's just fun for camera. Like, I'm all for the rights of everybody. Like, you want your own bathrooms, fine. Like, we have a bathroom with no fucking sign on it. You can use that if you're other, right? But I don't understand why, because your class is a victim, you have the right to victimize another class, which is the women that have been around for 40,000 years.
Right.
Towing the load. Like, you don't get to take their role. Like, we don't see a ton of that in our community, but I'd love to get your thoughts on that and how that's going to impact kind of feminism and women's rights and what's going on in that community. Because I think that's going to be a new disruptor in the whole Me Too or whatever movement that's going on.
Well, the only thing that really, really bothered me is because of the sport, because I try not to get involved and say, hey, everybody to each his own. If that's what you feel, go for it. That's all on you. But when I did see what was going on in sports, that really, really bothered me because I'm thinking, here I am. I used to play volleyball before, not a professional or anything like that, but I loved it. If I'm competing against a man that looks like me, but he's a man, he's muscular, it's a different, there's no comparison. Of course he's going to win. Does that make sense? That is so unfair. And that is something that I try not to get involved and not to give my opinion, but to me, I just didn't think that's
I try
just
to ask
not
all
fair.
opinions.
Yeah, I know you.
You're my feminism girl, so I wanted to know your opinion on that. It's kind of outside of the workplace, but it can relate to the workplace as well. My thought, I don't care. I will hire you if you're good at the job. My concern, and I do have my HR department go on Facebook, is I want to know what your interests are.
Right.
I want to know what your values are.
Yes.
And
your morals, values.
If I see that your values are something that conflicts with that of the values of our organization, which is helping people, or I see that you're so narcissistic that you're going to make everybody call you by some fucking pronoun, and instead of just working towards the customer service of the company, then I'm probably not going to hire you just because I may not know how to manage that.
Right.
And I don't have a management team or a fucking DEI specialist. And, if you're great for the job, I want you.
Yes.
But some of those things I don't know how to underwrite yet. And I don't think that they've been well explained to the community. And frankly, I've interviewed that have actually submitted applications, 2 out of 10,000 applications or 100,000 applications that we've had over the years. 2 is what I've seen. So I don't even know how it's made as big a news as it's made. But anyway, long story short, this has been amazing. You are giving what we should look for in working with women the right way, what we should look for if we need to, or for what to avoid.
Right.
Or what to eliminate if you have risks or threats. Victoria, you around town are an inspiration. You're building a social media brand. Where can people look you up? Where can people follow you? Where can people reach out and ask you a question? And how do people get a hold of you?
Yes. Well, my Instagram is Queen Up Now, and it's just what it is. Queen, Queen, up, UP now. And it's so funny because people ask me about that. Why have, that just do it? Mm-hmm. Just do it. Just do it. I would be like, just do what? Just do what? So now when a woman asks me hey, I'm just not feeling good. I don't know. And we're going through a little bit of coaching. And I tell her, just in your mind, under your breath, just says time to queen up now. That means you are the queen of your world. Because people are like, why, queen of what? I'm a queen of my own world. That's who I'm a queen of. Because everybody has something now she thinks she's a queen. But I am a queen of my own world, but I'm a queen of my own world. So do that for yourself. That's why the Queen Up Now is so important to me. Instead of telling women, just do it, just do it. No, I'm going to tell you, just queen up now. It's time that we come together and lift each other up and be like the men. Lift each other up, talk good to one another instead of bringing each other down and gossiping and talking down to all these women. Imagine if we all had a Beth in our life, if we all had a Victoria in our life, and that when you're down, they grab your hand, pick you up, give you a big hug, and tell you how amazing, how beautiful, and how perfect you are. Because at the end of the day, we are all perfect in our own world.
I love that.
God made us perfect, period.
I want to end on this. What's a message that you'd like to end this episode with for entrepreneurs on the value of women in the workplace?
Oh my gosh, just hire all these beautiful women. Yes, because women, we are the pillars of our household. So if we're the pillars of our household, what could we do in your business? When a woman walks around defeated, so is everybody around her. When your wife is mad, tell me you're not, even the kids are like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? But when that woman feels that she's fierce, she's amazing, she's beautiful, she's just intelligent, there is nothing she cannot help you in your business. So absolutely, women are, man, we're the shit. We're awesome.
Victoria, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And to all of our listeners, thank you for tuning in again. And I hope you have an amazing day on purpose.